That's MrBeast, and this is how he's about to pull off the highest budget, biggest production YouTube video ever.
Open the gate!
That's MrBeast, and this is how he's about to pull off the highest budget, biggest production YouTube video ever created.
Storming this field is 2,000 contestants.
Look at him, it's 2,000 people
competing for that $5 million.
So how on earth do you run and record a competition show for this many people? And the biggest question, how much does it cost to pull all of this off? Well, it wasn't without some very real challenges. But one thing's for sure, from a technical perspective, this is
absolutely insane.
And I'm giving him all access to everything behind the scenes, from the cameras, the logistics, and he's gonna show it all to you.
And also, that's $5 million real dollars.
Don't rob me.
So there are 4 challenges that the contestants are going to be going through. This is us just before the first.
I gathered all the guards over here so you can test them. They're not supposed to show motion, basically just like mannequins.
You guys are not supposed to speak. This feels mean.
They're not gonna talk.
But they are going to dance if you catch them after hours.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. That's not his real skin.
Time for challenge 1, in which the contestants had to split up into 5 groups, and each group had to pull up a very heavy boulder as fast as they could. Every person in the losing team gets eliminated.
I realize there's 2,000 contestants behind me shouting and screaming, but this is the coolest thing for me right now. So this structure right here has been custom built for this challenge to basically regulate the amount of pulling force required to lift that boulder. So the rope feeds through this contraption before it goes out to the contestants. And the way that it's weaved through on the inside determines how easy it is to pull.
So just to give you an idea of how important this is, the Beast team originally set this mechanism up to require 32,000 newtons of pulling force. But it's only as they started to playtest it a few days before, with a whole extra crew of playtesters, by the way, but they realized 32,000 newtons is going to take people way too long for the challenge to be fun to watch. So just by weaving this rope through the contraption in a slightly different way, they could quickly lower the required pulling force to just 10,000.
Oh, and also, this microphone here is sat there specifically to capture just the sound effect of the rope being pulled.
It's a little bit crazy just how many things you have to think about if you want to do this right.
Even literally the flooring. Jimmy decided that he wanted this place to look like a coliseum, so they pulled out every single bit of AstroTurf from it, and then they've covered it with these olive pits to basically give it that cinematic sand being thrown up feeling when people are running around through it.
This is the box camera we're using to adjudicate. As soon as one of these boulders cross the finish line, that's the winner. And so we'll be able to see from this camera which boulders last, and that team's eliminated.
It didn't even occur to me that you need adjudication cameras.
We set our camera at the same height as this finish line so we can see exactly who won. They're both at 80 feet.
So every single contestant also has an NFC wristband that they're scanning to keep track of who's in the game and who's out of the game.
When you're out, they'll know that you need to go out too.
If you leave.
We're not leaving.
You're not leaving?
We're not leaving.
Okay.
It took around 3 hours after revealing this first game before the thing actually kicked off. Partly to give the teams time to strategize, partly because everything takes longer than you expect when you're trying to organize this many people.
Wow.
This game genuinely lasted about 15 seconds in total, and it was specifically designed to be that way.
Oh my god. That's literally it. Red team is done.
I just lost out on this chance to win $5 million.
We're not leaving. Okay. I can't believe how quickly that happened.
MrBeast wanted to make sure that the first game people saw was as easy to explain as possible and as quick to finish as possible. Not so much for the people here, but more so that the viewers of the final video are able to get easily invested without feeling like they're suddenly having to learn something really complicated.
You can actually see people in that queue. They're so defeated. Some of them are crying. You know when you watch MrBeast videos online and you think, it can't be like that in real life? The feeling is very much here. Hey, what's up? I love you too. You all watch our videos?
Love your video.
Oh my God. Ricky. You guys must feel like top of the world right now.
It was so nerve-wracking. So nerve-wracking.
Does that scare you, like seeing what the other teams can do?
I can't be scared. We're a part of history here.
Well, I'm rooting for you guys personally because you're fans.
Yellow team. You heard that? Yellow team. Yellow team.
Yep, I heard that. All right, yellow team for the win. And now, while we waited for game 2 to start, now felt like as good a time as any to head to the main camera room to see the belly of the beast. And while the camera team were out actually filming the show, who better to show us this room than Mr. Tariq?
Since the last time I saw you, a lot has changed, from the equipment to how we go about things to the lighting. You've seen the scale of the projects. It has to be better. And Jimmy's not as particular about the cameras anymore.
So he used to be really in the weeds with it.
Now it's like I trust, and I like it. So these are just the ground cameras. They'll be for talent, there'll be contestants, just like a grab and go, run and capture that moment.
This is very rigged up.
It's very rigged up, yeah.
I noticed every single one of these cameras has a light on it.
Darker images don't perform better retention-wise, at least is what we've learned. And then we have the time code here. It's just so we make sure everything is time coded.
Ah yes, the time code. So they bought one of these devices to plug into every...
What happened and when it happened. So for example, if somebody falls and it's a really funny moment.
Every single camera, you could just search for that second, and you'll have 100 viewpoints of that one shot.
Almost 500 for this game.
Almost 500.
Yeah.
I'm curious how the rig has evolved.
A lot heavier. We have more stuff, especially like tailored for editing, better mic, the signal just makes it easier to grab it and just get everything you need in one shot.
Holding this for about 5 minutes, I can see why there's a neck strap attached.
Oh yeah. I mean, you get some strong shoulders.
So that's the run and gun cameras. There's 28 of those and they are pretty high spec, totaling $100,000 in value. The only one of these that's a tiny bit different is MrBeast's personal camera rig, which has 2 lights on it instead of 1 to make him the brightest thing on screen so that your eyes are naturally drawn towards him. There's a whole cornucopia of lenses and they all have different purposes.
You guys use GoPros a lot, but GoPros capture like a very different kind of shot to something like this. Is there a difference in what shots you use for what purpose?
Emotional shots, we try to do telephoto. So we put somebody on the other side and just zoom in on their face as much as you can and then just kind of get that reaction.
You'll see a lot of the most vulnerable, real moments on MrBeast videos being captured like this because the camera is so far away that the contestant isn't spotting it, and so isn't acting for it. But that is far from the full suite of camera gear here. There's 35 Sony FX9 cinema cameras dotted all around the stadium to get the main wide fixed shots of the games. There's 10 pan tilt zoom or PTZ cameras, which are also fixed in place but can be remotely operated to control what they're looking at. 20 DJI Osmos for handing to the contestants to vlog certain sequences, since they are literally the easiest cameras to operate, all rounded off with 400, I kid you not, 400 GoPros. They use these because they're small enough to fit inside of things and also just blend into the background so they don't appear in the rest of the camera's shots. And that's not even factoring in all of the accessories like power banks for every single GoPro and also the proper flagship camera gear like the box cameras, the sky cameras and the whole army of drones, but we are getting to that.
I noticed everyone's got delightful little nicknames for the different sections. And so hot and cold for this battery section, I assume hot means fully charged, cold means empty?
Yes.
It's exceptionally organized. You can tell this is someone's job to create this pile.
Absolutely.
Tariq then took us to Mac, who is the lead editor of the MrBeast team.
Why he's so tall, man? He's all dressed up, he's tall, and he pulls me out when I'm in my underwear and I'm all short. Sticks me right on camera. I am not short.
That's all we came here for. Yeah.
And now that we'd established that Mac definitely isn't short, I thought, well, MrBeast videos are pretty much the most consistently highly viewed videos on the internet. So given how involved Mac is, especially in the intros of them, how do these guys make sure that they perfectly capture your attention at the start?
The way we look at intros, basically just like a continuation of the thumbnail. Most people don't have YouTube Premium, right?
Yeah.
And so they'll click on a video, then they'll watch like a minute ad or 5-second ad and skip it, whatever they do. They will literally forget what they clicked on.
So what kind of things have you thought about with this video specifically, the intro?
We were thinking about basically flying camera back instead of flying camera forward. I want to see Jimmy's face. I want to see the $5 million cash prize. And I also want to communicate spectacle.
The other thing I thought was really interesting about the intro shot is they filmed it on 2 separate occasions across 6 hours of time. Given that the intro is the single most important 10 seconds of the entire video, these guys actually set up and recorded doesn't said even arrived when they had the time to make sure that they have one intro that they know works. But then once again, with all the contestants, just in case that take ends up having better energy.
Is there a shortage of shirts?
I just keep ripping them. I'm not this short.
I'll tell you what isn't short, the amount of footage that these guys' editors have to get through. But there's a solution to that.
We have the best editors in the world. If we have 10 hours of footage, it gets sunk. The assistant editors will take it down to 2 hours of what's usable. Like a really great editor, an editor that can do videos at this level, I can't find them anywhere. And so preserving them and preventing them from burning out as much as possible is like the name of the game.
Thank you.
Dude, you're a legend. I love your videos, by the way. Actually, your editors are really good.
Don't get any.
You guys looking to jump ship? No, I'm just kidding.
Right, let me take this off.
We're going to call it for tonight after the first challenge.
The timing on this is absolutely crazy. My brain is so fried, it doesn't feel like 3:42 a.m.
Yeah.
I guess there's fluorescent lighting all around the place.
Can you see my face here, by the way? This is the face of a man who's because of the sudden decision change today to switch from day filming to night filming. In fact, scheduling just generally was easily one of the toughest parts of this shoot, because instead of the original plan of 2 days of filming, it actually ended up being 3 nights. Not to even mention the extra 3 days around those 3 nights that everyone involved in the shoot had to make sure they were always ready for. Not easy for anyone involved, contestants included.
I'm just kind of used to it. Usually we end up filming deep into the night like this. At night, I can point lights and control where your focus is. During the day, you see everything. So I prefer to film at night. I mean, it's pretty brutal. Rest up.
Okay, night 2, game 2. So in this game, contestants will stand around a whole load of briefcases. They look at a board, which will tell them which briefcases are safe and which will get them eliminated, and then they will have to get to one of those safe briefcases before anyone else can.
So what's going through your mind right now?
Well, I just honestly want to make sure the briefcases get put out right. I just want to make sure it all looks good. We have a lot riding on this shoot.
One thing you've talked about a lot is the way you tell stories. Is that changing?
Go watch a MrBeast video from 3 years ago. I'll be like 50% louder. It'll be like 50% faster.
A lot of shouting.
Yeah, and you'll get like a headache.
You're making like a purposeful effort. In this video, for example, just to slow down.
Exactly.
Let some moments just sit.
Trust that people will watch because, you know, they're very invested in the story, as opposed to like being tricked into watch because there's like cut. What time is it right now? It's only like 10, right?
Actually, yeah, it's 9 p.m.
Oh yeah, this is pretty early. This is great.
It's like I actually should be awake right now, and that's crazy.
Did you I felt so bad.
Yeah, there was some pretty real tears.
We tried to make it easier on them by giving everyone $2,000. That way everyone at least had something to go home with. The first challenge, we eliminated 400 people. And since we gave each of them $2 grand, that's $800,000.
But the money isn't the only thing these guys have to think about when people are eliminated. Do you remember these RFID bracelets where they come in again?
There's some sort of checkup process as well.
When they entered the arena, we scanned, so we knew they were here.
Beast Games, baby.
So we counted that we had 2,000 exactly. Then we could start the game. Then when they got into teams.
Oh, so when they sorted themselves, you added that data onto their RFIDs so that your system knows exactly which
team, green team, yellow team. Then we have all those lists ready. And so same as all of the red team that was eliminated, even though we knew it was red team, just to be absolutely sure, we scanned every single one on their way out.
Wow.
Then we know if somebody's missing in the stadium.
Is this because you've been burned before on previous games?
People will hide. Did you see the end of that game? But Jimmy had to call her up to tell her that, oh, come on, red team's out.
She was a red team contestant who was trying to stay.
Trying to stay in the game. Yeah, so the bracelets are really a way for us to keep track of everybody.
Now, if you already thought the shoot was a complicated affair, you have not seen the start of it, because it was at this point that I was introduced to a whole new branch of the operation. This is Emily, and she is a story producer.
Having all of us here and just taking notes of key moments that happen, little quotes we hear that would make good content, it just overall helps the post-production process.
So the entire role of these guys is to look and to listen to what's happening on the field, to try and figure out what the story is going to be while the video is still being shot, so that by the time it ends up in the post-production editing stage, that team can be as efficient as possible.
Part of the recruitment process, you ask people to send a 1-minute video of themselves, and you use that to judge their character and their energy. And so you pick the top tier people, and you're like, you get a microphone.
Yes. 40 contestants are mic'd up out of the 2,000. This board was the initial idea of who would get mic'd up. I think as they meet the people and as people like show their true selves on the field, they'll switch it out.
This is absolutely crazy. This is movie investigation pinboard type vibe.
Once people get eliminated, they'll re-mic other people. Obviously, like, things change and mics change. So like we have people designated to go out there and keep track of who gets re-mic'd, which helps us like tremendously during the post-production process.
You've got heroes, villains, family, and then others. You've not just pegged people as being main characters, but you've pegged that they've got personality trait that might make them a villain.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can't predict the stories that will form. You can predict the people who are most likely to form them. Those people are given the microphones. That's fascinating. Are you listening to those people in real time?
On the average Beast video, we'll have one person listening. So we have 6 people, and then I'm doing like visuals right now. Everyone gets 7 people to listen to, so that instead of listening to 4 ones, you only have to listen to 7 people.
So this is the live universal time code.
Yes.
And that's synced with all the cameras, so you know exactly what's shooting when. And then these are the notes leading.
So this means that when the editors get the footage, automatically slot in at the exact time that each shot was actually taken, but they will also get all of this guiding information from the story producers. So they know specifically what to look for within those shots.
Been thought about.
Yes.
So, story producers hang out. This is basically Jimmy's private viewing suite. So, whoa. It's basically the same thing, but this room is specifically designed for Jimmy to come and have a kind of one glance view of every single thing that's happening, so he can give really quick feedback in between him being on camera. There's a lot of screens here, so there's 18 TVs in this one room. Quite impressed with the bezels on these as well. It almost looks like one continuous video wall. They're bringing out the briefcases for the next game. Should probably go.
And you know what's extra crazy about this? Because everything that happens in the stadium is recorded and might end up being part of the video, even the setup of things needs to be a rehearsed affair. It took 100 people nearly an entire day just practicing how to set this one game up. Lining up these briefcases, figuring out how to enter the stadium in an organized way, timing the process to make sure it doesn't drag, and also measuring to make sure that every table was exactly equidistant.
I hate when it's like day up and we do those things and it's not choreographed because it just looks very amateur. When it's all timed and time lapse it can be like, bring out the briefcases! But if it's not, like sped up time lapse, it's really good.
So it has to come out in an organized way.
That looks good when it's sped up. Yeah, or then it just looks weird. It's perfect for its animation.
Oh my god, dude, I love you more than this piece. I shouldn't say no.
Oh my god. Is that on camera?
Yes.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Delete it right now. Please.
No.
Alright. 2! 1! As I can see people. Oh, okay. 3! 2! 1! Reveal!
I can't believe you're getting reactions like this at 4 a.m. in the morning.
But now, seeing this game being filmed, there's another question that's been looming on my mind. Where does all the footage from all of these cameras actually go?
This is the DIT room. These guys are, I guess you could say, the very important but very unsung heroes of this project, because their entire job is to make sure that no piece of footage goes missing, which, when there's like 500 cameras on a shoot, is a bit of a logistical problem. So, the whole process starts with these drives. Someone will physically run into this room with a box full of these drives. And what these guys are doing is footage on that drive and categorizing it based on which game that footage is from, which camera recorded that footage, and which type of microphone picked up the audio for that footage, which sounds like an absolute nightmare of a task. But they're doing it so that when the editors are editing the footage, all they need to do is to just think, which bit of footage do I need, as opposed to having to rummage through like 100 different folders to find it. But it will make the edit like 10 times faster. Right, now this is where the fun begins. So they plug these drives into their computers, which are all Mac Studios, by the way, because, well, I'm told they don't like Windows. But then, those Mac Studios are wired into something called an ingest station, which is 8 very large hard drives. Every single one is 20 terabytes, meaning that one ingest station has a max capacity of 160. And then you realize that there's 20 of these ingest stations in this room. So 3.2 petabytes of storage. But it gets crazier. Because they're shooting this show for Amazon have insisted that they have at least 3 layers of backup for every single bit of footage. So, as well as these ingest stations, every single drive is never getting erased. It will just stay as a permanent hard copy of everything that's been recorded. And then every single one of these ingest stations has a fiber cable coming out the back of it. This is a very fast connection, 5 gigabits per
It's a very specific cable, and actually follow him. Way, still going.
And you follow that way around, and which is basically massive.
Serves as the third layer. It seems stupid since are being taken up how much the show, sense how much keep the show.
Particularly cool because these hoarding boxes normally works with a count onto an SD inside, but a bit differently. One of the fixed stadium, it wired all of them into, that has 2 pretty main, that instead of really little SD cards, they can record onto proper drives. But also, too, some of these cameras are, no joke, 100 meters up in the air. So how much manpower it would require to individually keep a camera so that it doesn't run out of storage, and then swap over the SD cards when with this setup, one person could literally man everything. This thing actually happens at like I think PM, it's now in the morning, changes. Over here is actually adjusting the saturation of the cameras stay consistent.
So types of cameras being used. If you just left each one alone, actually take footage different to each other.
Router. So it's every single one of the video comes through first to be distributed to all these separate. Long story short, if this box, so does the why there's a just blow it.
The pan talked about earlier. Well, this room is also where those are being remotely operated from.
And the beauty of these cameras is they allow you to follow the action. So let's say I find a disruption happening with these briefcases. I can find where that disruption is happening, and then I can just zoom in all the way onto that disruption. So it's allowing me from a distance to create these really stable cinematic sub-stories within the bigger story. That gets so close. You forget that the camera is positioned right on the very end of the stadium. It's just blowing my mind that all of this is the back end for one YouTube video.
Just to be super clear, do not GO until I actually say the word GO.
He's our guy.
Look up at the screen. All right, there you go. Oh, actually, I said it. You're right. Whoops.
Oh my God.
I messed up, but hey.
I think he's picked a losing one.
Some of these have to be great.
How are you feeling?
Nervous.
Yeah, I can see it on your face. Is it you versus every single person around you?
Yeah, everyone thinks I'm out.
Really?
Man.
Yeah.
How will you feel if you are?
It's fine. It's my dad's birthday today.
Is that worth losing $5 million?
No.
It's literally called Rick E.
3, 2, 1. Open your briefcase.
No. Oh no.
And with that, I decided that's enough Beast Games for today. Too much heartbreak.
4:40 a.m. We're heading back. That feels like a victory. Early finish? Yeah, early finish.
The time had come. It was time for the third, final, and most chaotic night of all. Starting with the flag game, where all contestants are going to line up on one side of the field, and each round a varying number of flags are brought into the middle. Contestants have to decide which round they're going to make a run for it, and when they do, they have to make sure they grab a flag while they're at it, or they're out, knowing that in total there aren't going to be enough flags for every player.
We're gonna make the first like 2 or 3 like really easy so they get it, and then after that, I mean, we're gonna do dozens of rounds. I want you guys to be super dumb.
Is there a dominant strategy, you think?
There's a lot of strategy to this. I would probably pick one quadrant and just be like, well, there's a flag here. I'm going no matter what. I'm going no matter what. I like really try to talk everyone around you out of it.
It was also at this point that I managed to get hold of something that you never really get to see.
So these are pre-visualizations of the Amazon thumbnail. And it's absolutely crazy. Like, how... These were pre-visualizations.
Mr. Who's the Boss does not drop things.
There's a clear favorite so far. I think this one wins.
They have one version of this thumbnail poster image based on like 15 of the most popular movies and games, from Fortnite to Money Heist to How to Train Your Dragon, and this is the one they ended up picking from them. Before long, it was time for the flag game to begin.
As soon as I blow this horn, the round will begin.
I won't lie to you, I found this game absolutely fascinating to watch.
Oh look, those two are racing for flag 1.
It started off so organized, with a few of the louder people basically making it very clear to the others around them that they were going to run for it so that no one else tries to. But then as the game went on, you start to notice that order breaking down, because you can't stay on the sidelines forever because they will just run out of flags. So this just got more and more chaotic.
There's a tiny little drone up there zipping around the stadium. I think we should find out who's flying it. Wait, he's up there. He literally looks like an Imperial Starfleet commander. I think this is the one we've seen zipping all around the stadium, like extremely quickly.
Yeah, this one as well.
Oh yeah. This looks very like homemade almost.
Yeah, they're all custom built.
Did you do it?
Yeah.
You made them?
Yeah, custom built, and then the gimbals are my designs.
Who are you?
Medlin Drone. A few years ago, I tried out the idea of using a head tracking tilt gimbal just to see if it would help with camera correction, and it ended up just being so much better than I expected.
You didn't just build the drones, you built the entire system.
The head tracking system. This tilt following my head. Yeah.
Wow.
Previously, FPV has always flown fixed angle, which is where the piloting camera and usually GoPro are fixed to the drone. But the problem is that really limits the shots you can get. Like you can't like look down or anything.
Yeah.
With this gives you a full 5 degrees of freedom, which pretty much means you can accelerate in any direction while looking in any direction.
So you're controlling the movement with this controller.
Yeah, exactly.
And your head is looking up and down.
Movement is controlled by controller. Tilt movement is via head tracking.
There's two cameras here. One is the GoPro itself, one is down here. What is that doing?
So this is our piloting cam. This is what I'm seeing in my goggles. And then this is our recording cam.
Of course, right, because you can't stream directly the GoPro.
Yeah, exactly.
That is absolutely incredible. So this compared to like the big sky cam that's overhead, what's the perk of this?
Perk of this is I can get inside of the crowd. I'm not limited by my like range. I can go up into the stands, dive in.
Do you get dangerously close for fun?
Yeah.
So because there's less flags in this round, he's been given permission to take off with the bigger drone. You know, because if there was like 100 across the field, you've got a pretty good chance with that of whacking someone in the face.
Whoa!
Oh my God, let's go have a look at the footage. That is absolutely amazing.
So there's two types of drones being used on this shoot. They've got 10 of the more standard DJI drones. And if you look here, you can see that those are the ones responsible for these slower, more cinematic shots. But then this guy with his first-person view drone, his job is to get really close and get these super unique, in-the-crowd, action-packed chaos shots.
If you have an idea and you think it might or might not work, it's worth exploring. Because I didn't think this would work before I tried it, and now it's changed my life. So it's like,
wow. Good for you, man. That's cool.
That's the dream come true.
Oh yeah, also, look a little closer at the seats. In every single one of the 65,000 seats in this stadium, just for this video, these guys printed out and fitted a full-sized Slenderman, only for the production team to later decide, actually no, that looks a little weird, well that's a shocker, and then send people out for a second time to flip every single one of those 65,000 Slendermen around to the blank side. So now you only see their faces when you're up in the stands. But now it was time to get closer to the most serious pieces of camera gear on this shoot. This is the kind of stuff that you don't normally get to see like this. Starting with the sky camera, which is being controlled from a box all the way in the top corner of the stadium.
So this is the aerial camera room. This is, I guess, where the magic happens.
Yeah.
You guys are the sole controllers of the sky cam.
Yeah. Got the pilot right here. I move the camera rig in space, up, down, left, right. My operator Kirby over there pans, tilts, zooms, focuses, and gives us the best shot as possible.
Oh, I see. It's like a tank turret versus driver.
Exactly. Apache helicopter.
I've never heard that comparison, but yeah.
There we go.
Wow. This is some of the most beautiful footage I've seen in my life. What makes this different to a drone?
Safer, it can't ever fall out of the air and hit anybody. We have a larger camera, larger sensor, larger lens, so we can create a little bit better image than most drones can.
Explain to me what's happening on this computer.
This is our fly space. I can always glance at that and know I'm 56 feet above the turf here.
Is that important because you're trying to stay out of the way of other cameras and their shots? And
exactly.
Yeah.
So the coordinates that we use when we first get here, we build that fly space, and I can put walls, barriers, obstacles to keep us safe from hitting stuff. So for instance, the boulder structure over there, I have a wall right here. These yellow ones are ramps, so we can go up into the sets and not run right into the pile of money.
Yeah. And so the camera will now do that automatically now that you've set those constraints.
Indeed.
So when you go from green to yellow, it will automatically lift if it's too low.
That's right.
Wow, that's a smart bit of kit. And this is fascinating watching you two guys talk to each other because you're both controlling different parts of this camera. Are you telepathic?
We've done enough games together that we kind of think along the same wavelength. If he's flying a certain direction, I know what kind of look is possible from that angle that he's got the rig physically at. So then I just pan or tilt, zoom, whatever, and it makes the shot look good.
It's like good dance partners. The longer they've been dancing together, the better they can read what the other one's about to do.
You two would kill it on a dance floor. So I'm seeing something and it's upsetting me a little bit. Are you recording in 1080p?
No, they are receiving 4K.
Just 1080p to the monitors so that the throughput is limited.
This is just for us.
Because that would be a massive waste.
Yes.
Indeed it would. Indeed it would.
I'm so relieved.
But it's easy to forget, this show isn't just about filming a video. It's a very real tournament with very real stakes. So as you've had a taste of earlier, these guys also have to make sure that there are proper systems in place for adjudication. So anytime two contestants think that they're the ones who touched a flag first, there's a whole squadron of staff who have to run to that big DIT storage room. They have to take the drives that have the footage on, they have to run them back to the stadium, and then go through that footage from several of the fixed cameras, frame by frame, until each dispute is resolved.
His hand grabs it first.
Yeah.
The guy on the right would be the one that has possession.
This guy, yeah.
This is stuff you don't see in the final MrBeast video, but there are disputes literally every round of every game, and you can't move on to the next one until each one is resolved, which, as you can imagine, is another reason why there is so much waiting around when you're on set. But also, do you notice how every single person working here is wearing a headset? Well, each of those is connected to one of these, called a bolero, which basically allows you to talk to any other person in the stadium immediately without even needing to dial a phone number.
It's a version of like a walkie/telephone. So you've got a walkie, which normally you talk one at a time. This is kind of like that, but I can talk over you.
This gets rid of the whole over and out, Roger.
Yes. They're called comms or PLs, which stands for party line, which is a throwback to early phone lines when you'd have a whole neighborhood or a whole group of people. They're all on the same phone number. Like on your pack here, all the camera guys are on that button.
So it's one button to talk to everyone who's been assigned as a camera.
Everyone who has that button. We also do a lot of like deployment of antennas. There's one right there. So those are all over the venue.
And you guys have installed these all yourselves?
Yeah, our group of 5 guys here.
So you basically created your own mobile phone network inside the stadium?
Yeah.
Just for this one video?
And that's a wrap on game 3. And since the team were also determined to not let this go on for another day, it was very rapidly time to set up for the final game. Well, I say very rapidly. Like I said earlier, everything does take way longer than you think. But, you know, it took 3 hours to get everything for this game into position instead of 24. So this final game, which is the game that determines who ends up making it to the main Amazon Prime show, is a bit of a returning classic on the MrBeast channel. This is Last to Leave. So contestants split into teams, and each team stands on a pillar. Except they're not really teams, because MrBeast will then offer bribes of an increasing value until someone in one of those pillars jumps off, accepts the money for themselves, and condemns the rest of their team to lose.
By the end of this challenge, one of you will backstab your entire team.
And to see this game in action, we headed to one of the box cameras.
Wow. Look at that thing. When you're on the ground, it all feels like chaos, but from up here, you can see the action in a very different way. So we've been told that this guy is apparently planning to sabotage the entire event.
And so the story producers have let this trained operator of the box cam know that, and so he is staying locked onto this guy like a hawk, waiting to see what he does.
Just to try and convey the gravity of this piece of technology, this is a 16mm to 35mm lens, which basically means you can go ultra wide at 16mm or decently zoomed in at 35. But this camera right here is 8.4mm to 832. These are absolutely bonkers numbers, like the kind of numbers that allow you to view the entire stadium in one shot or go all the way to someone's face who's standing on the opposite side of it.
And so the total price of one of these bad boys, $100,000 each, and there's 8 of them.
The final game begins.
Reveal what the first prize will be. It'll be $5,000.
There's no takers. He's going to have to up the stake.
I'll give you 50 grand.
Oh!
Hasn't started yet.
The second he announced it, absolute carnage.
Didn't start the timer yet. Oh my gosh. No, because the timer hadn't started yet.
And that was a very strange wrap on game 4. So now, just before we get to the final cost of this entire production, the only question left unanswered is this $5 million in cash.
I cannot believe they actually did that with real money. You actually can't get through there without trampling on $1,000 bills.
How did they actually get it?
See this? MrBeast from JP Morgan Chase. Total is $5 million.
You feeling so?
Should we?
I mean, probably wouldn't notice. What do you think of it?
What do I think of $5 million in cash?
Yeah.
How does it work to get that amount of money in cash? Because that's obviously not a normal thing that JP Morgan are approached with.
Yeah,
right?
so it usually goes all the way to the top, and then they bring armored trucks with like a little militia to your studio and drop it off.
That's a fun BTS.
So that's how they get $5 million. As for how they keep it,
so there's stadium security on the outside, police on the inside, armored trucks.
2 security guys around the clock that just sit and watch.
So if someone made a run for it, they would just tackle them.
It's in ones. It's hard to run with a lot of ones. I don't know if you've ever tried to lift ones.
No, not that many.
Well, just one of our 10K briefcases, probably 40 pounds. And so if you run with it, I can catch you. I'm old. We estimate on the stage right now is 12,000 pounds of money.
12,000 pounds. That's the equivalent of 2 adult African elephants worth of pure paper notes.
We did the math so they could build the structure to hold it.
Are there cameras specifically trained on that money as well?
Yes, we put extras in place.
We spent this entire 3 days running around counting up the value of all the equipment and tech that we've seen.
And so the final cost to make this one YouTube video is Well, we forgot a few things. We got all the staff costs. We got costumes, which, remember, every single person here needs an outfit which is printed in-house and has to be fitted. We got the cost for all equipment used in each game. Every boulder, every briefcase, and so on. We've got the contestant costs.
2,000 flights, 2,000 hotel rooms.
I love how casually you say that figure.
2,000 meals 3 times a day over the course of a week.
Not to mention a total of $2 million just in money given to the contestants who got out for this one episode. Plus the insane audio gear, just to make sure that everyone's voice is picked up and sounds good on video.
If you had to guess the audio gear in this entire video, what is it worth?
Oh, millions of dollars.
But then also stuff like the months of pre-prep that had to go into designing every game, the cost of the Raiders Stadium, the place where the Super Bowl was held, it goes on and on and on. But there's quite a big saving from the fact that a lot of the equipment you see here is being rented as opposed to bought, leaving the final cost figure as $14 million for the video and $19 million if you include the $5 million prize money.
इस जानम मुलाकात हो जानी हो কোন দিন হুট করে আমার ঢাকায় যা লাইয়া আমি নিজে স্টিল না বই রইছি আগে কত মিষ্টি যে ভালোবাসায় একটা ছবির পোস্টার বুঝতে 1 ঘন্টা লাগে মাঝে মাঝে বই লাগে মোবাইলে মজা কম্পিউটার হচ্ছে কি যত অবস্থা বেডির ব্যান্ড বেলু কি মনে করতো বাংলাদেশের প্রথম শ্রেণীর কন্টেন্ট ক্রিয়েটার কিন্তু ব্র্যান্ড প্রমোটার বাড়ির সব মাথা রাইট কই এটা যতই ফালতু কথা কই না বেডি পছন্দ না এর লাগে আমি কই বেডি মালয়েশিয়া না এরা ফাপ দাতে ফাউকা এরা আমাদের গেলাম পছন্দ না তো পছন্দ না এটা তো কইলাম মানে তার জায়গায় সে ঠিক আছে এই প্রফেশনাল ঠিক আছে আমি লেহি গিতা হ্যাঁ যখন এই কথা কোন আমি লেহি এই ব্যান্ডের ফ্যান পরে না কেউ না কিন্তু আসলে হ্যাঁ জায়গা তো হ্যাঁ বাড়ি শোকে কি কইতে আইছে তুমি আর হ্যাঁ তো পরিবারের বড় বড় মাছের পিসটাও বাইরে দিত আমার দিত না দেখছি ভিডিও গুড করেছো ভালো করে আর বেশি করে করো ট্র্যাজেডি প্রত্যেকটা ভিডিও দেখি মানে পুরো মার্কা এ তো তেল মারে হলো তেল মারে এই জন্যই তো এটাই তো সফটনেস কাজ করে তেল মারা ছাড়া বিকল্প দাম নাই যে যাও হিমেলে যে যা খেল লেগে যা তেল মারে এই জন্যই তো যাইতেছে না আমি তো জোর করে বেড়াই একবার লাইন উঠতে গেলে এই যে তানজিল আছে না তানজিল এদের সাথে কথা হয় রেগুলার তানজিল জনিয়ে যে আমি কইছি তো আপনি নারায়ণগঞ্জ সাইডে যান ঢাকা যান সাইন করে নেবেন আপনি নারায়ণগঞ্জ থেকে কিচ্ছু কথা না জীবনে কিচ্ছু কথা না একদিনে কি করে রিয়াল করা না ভিডিও করা তো এটা কি অত সহজ তো সহজ না আয় বসে আমার সময় বয়া বয়া মার্কোর পোস্টার কত দেখলাম, ওখানে একটা পোস্টার বিষয় হয়নি, মেজাজটা কিরকম খারাপ হয়ে যায়। ফেসবুক জুড়েই দেখলাম খালি মার্কো আর মার্কো, সেম সাকিবের মতো হয়েছে লোকটা। বা ইচ্ছা থাকলে এটা কোনো বিষয় না। তোমার মনের ঘরে একটু একটু করে, হ্যাঁ স্ক্রিপ্ট বানানো কি এখন অত, এখন তো স্ক্রিপ্ট বানানো ইজি, বুঝো না? স্ক্রিপ্ট ক্লিপ